I'm here with Royce Callerud and Brent Stinsky of Connect Bend, and we're going to go over the results of Connect Bend's recent outdoor access study. So the goal here is simple. We want to find out who has the best outdoor access, who has the worst, and we're going to rank the 13 Bend neighborhoods. Before that, some disclaimers. By way of full disclosure, Connect Bend is a community group that advocates for a footbridge in southern Bend. Just putting that on the record now.
Yep, we'll address that later.
Another item, in looking at the 13 Bend neighborhoods, we have to decide what to do with the 14th neighborhood, which is the Deschutes River Woods.
Right, this is a neighborhood of about 5,500 people south of Bend. So they're not officially a part of Bend, but are continuous with and integrated with the city.
So for our first ranking, we'll look at the best of Bend.
Yeah, so for this ranking, we looked at the real hotspots of Bend, these, great places within town that make people really want to live here and places that people drive to multiple times a year. So we measured out drive distance from the midpoint of each neighborhood to all of these great spots. And then we just took the average drive time per neighborhood. The number one neighborhood was River West, and that makes a lot of sense. The way Bend is set up, you've got these marquee sites largely to the center of town and to the west. Looking at the map, though, none of these destinations are really to the southern part of town, so Southwest Bend and Southeast Bend faced long drive distances, and if you count the Deschutes River Woods, they're even worse.
And that includes the new Alpenglow Park in Southeast Bend?
Yep, we factored that in.
Okay, so the next set of rankings we'll look at will be acres per person.
Okay, so the first ranking was about these great destinations. This is much more about outdoor access right near your home. As we see it, if there are a lot of people, there should be a lot of open space as well. So the metric we took was acres per person. Looking at the rankings, Summit West really cleaned up. That's due to lower population there, but also huge open space. And certain neighborhoods didn't fare well, again. Southwest Bend, Old Farm, have high populations and comparatively low amounts of open space. And if you count the Deschutes River Woods, there are no major open spaces, so they come in last again.
Okay, so last one, Expenditure by Bend Parks and Recreation District.
Yeah, this one looks at BPRD spending on new projects as listed on their CIP, or Capital Improvement Plan, which is this document they update every year. We pulled data going back to 2015, and in this last ranking, Larkspur and Southeast Bend saw a huge investment due to the Larkspur Senior Center and Alpenglow Park, both of which are great. But unfortunately, certain southern neighborhoods didn't fare so well once again. Southwest Bend came in 13th, and DRW isn't even within BPRD boundaries, so if you include them, they're last again.
Probably an explanation for that?
Yeah. So BPRD wanted to do this major project, which was that footbridge we mentioned earlier. So this would have linked Southwest Bend and the DRW to the Deschutes National Forest. And the project just never happened. And this really isn't a video about the history of all that, but the short version is that a private community across the water fought the bridge and stalled the project. And the people of Southwest Bend never actually got anything else.
So you have quite a situation in these southern neighborhoods. There's the highway to the east, the lava flow to the south, and the river to the west. And that's effectively creating an outdoor access desert. And we know BPRD wants to invest in this area. They work hard to provide equality of outdoor access. Alpenglow Park is a great example of that. But in Bend, we also have a long way to go when it comes to quality of access. There's one more thing that makes this particularly bad for Southwest Bend. That neighborhood has lots of families. Along with Southern Crossing is tied for first in terms of concentration of people under 18. And many of those people can't drive and would benefit the most from access to the outdoors, but they're not getting it.
And Deschutes River Woods, how do we think about them?
I mean, make up your own mind. The city and BPRD don't face a legal obligation to support this neighborhood because it is outside relevant boundaries, but these folks are still driving through Bend, and they're using Bend streets, and they also work in the same places and go to the same schools, so they really are a part of the Bend community. And I think most folks in Bend would really say everyone here should have the best possible access to the outdoors. It's kind of who we are as a city. But the study shows that some of us are struggling. The southern UGB footbridge, which we do support, would kind of change that overnight. Folks here would have immediate access to the Deschutes National Forest, and that would make a huge difference in people's lives.